So we are about to get into this very controversial speech. I've kind of went through it, and I'm gonna kind of talk about the highlights or the parts that are the most controversial per se. So let's get into it.
By your example. For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
Now, a lot of people have lost their minds about this. He's disgusting, he's terrible, he's this, he's that. You also need to kind of have things in context. And to save you and I time, I didn't show you the entire speech, but majority of the speech, he was not talking about this. I don't know why these are here, but hello. So majority of the time, he was talking about, their faith, right? This is a private university. It's a Catholic school. So a lot of times they were talking about that. And you also have to keep in context, when he's talking to these people, he's talking to people that are Catholic. He's not talking to the entire world. Like, just keep that in mind, because I think a lot of people are taking this personal and acting like he's talking to them. I don't see it that way. I could be wrong, but I don't see it that way. And there are, anyway, we'll let it continue for now.
I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
So that is how what he said was received. Now, obviously, there are plenty of women in the crowd as well. So, again, context, who he's talking to. Now, a lot of people are also acting as if you can't be a homemaker and work. Two things can't exist at once. Now, do you have some people who are only homemakers and don't work a 9-to-5 job or go out and work a job? Sure, but being a homemaker in and of itself is a job. It's a very hard job and a very important job. And I think a lot of people in society today are downplaying it or making it seem like it's something that's less worthy because you're not out working a 9-to-5 per se, as if there's a bunch of glory in going out and working a 9-to-5 compared to taking care of your children. Doesn't make much sense to me, but again, I think not everyone, a lot of these people are looking at this from like a black and white perspective. Either you're a homemaker or you're working. There are plenty of women who are very capable, who do good work, working careers, who are also homemakers. And there are plenty of women who are just in careers and not homemakers, and plenty of women who are just homemakers, right? There's a whole spectrum of it. But again, I think people are trying to hang this man out to dry, like he's just some misogynistic douchebag. It's again, context. And what they also don't tell you is he also talked to men, right? So we're gonna fast forward a bit and we're gonna go to the part where he's actually talking to men. And let me look real quick. Okay, let's see here. All right, he is about to start talking to men here. Let's see what he has to say to men.
And father, and as a man. To the gentleman here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture, and when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in.
Let's rewind that.
Necessary in the home or in society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities.
Heard that a lot. A lot of people talking about how men aren't needed, right, in the home or the communities. And he'll say something a little bit later, so I won't get on that now. But I'm going to talk about the communities for one, definitely. Firefighters, vast majority of men. Police officers, vast majority of men. Surgeons, vast majority of men. Military, vast majority of men. Engineers, vast majority of men. Right? Construction workers, like the list could go on and on. Right? So when people are acting as if men are not important for society or civilization, they're fooling themselves. Men are very important. I think it's important that we acknowledge that reality instead of trying to deny it or act like it's not something that's real. Men play a very vital role in society. But let's continue. Let's see what else he has to say.
As men, we set the tone of the culture, and when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in.
I could kind of agree with that. I would say men do set the tone, but men could set a tone that is chaotic and disruptive. But more or less agree.
This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation.
Not wrong. And I've talked a lot about this within the black community. There's many black people who are talking about the white man, systemic slavery, history, racism, everything but accountability, and people staying together when they have children, or at least raising those children together and being present in their lives. White man, systemic slavery, history, systemic racism, slavery, all that stuff is not forcing you to mate with someone, have children with them, and not stay together, right? It's also not forcing you to not raise those children properly. Now, you can make some arguments that you might know some different things, sure, but the reality is fathers not being in the home is a major problem. And he also talks about fathers being in the home and that being important, right? So he's not just talking to women. I know the part, I think, as a bunch of women saw it and freaked out, didn't like it, but he's talking to men and women, and he's saying both need to be present in the home.
Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here in the US, and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily...
I agree with what he said before. Be unapologetic about being masculine. There is nothing wrong with being masculine, but I think it's fair to say there is an attack on masculinity. So I think men do need to be unapologetic in what they're doing, or not unapologetic in what they're doing. Let me take that back. Unapologetic in being masculine and accepting that masculinity is not a bad thing. A lot of people are demonizing masculinity. It's not bad. So I would say, really those are the kind of the highlights of what I think was kind of able to be talked about that wasn't specifically religion, that could be applied to more people. And I also think people are completely overreacting. Right, I've heard some takes, maybe this wasn't the best time. People are, getting their degrees now. They don't want to hear about being a homemaker. I think that's a fair argument to make, but at the same time, I think this is also a good time to have that conversation right now to kind of put it in their head, because there are plenty of people who go and only focus on careers and regret it, right? So I think it's fair for that to be put into their head before they go into the work field. Again, he's not saying all women need to be in the house barefoot and pregnant. That's not what he's saying, right? So, but I think a lot of people are taking it that way and making it out to be that. Being a mother in the home with your children is a very important job. Same thing with being a father. And I think people are actually making light of it, acting as if it's not as important as it is. It's very important. It's very important. So anyway, that is my take on what's going on here. I think people as a whole, I would say, are overreacting and demonizing this man unnecessarily. Again, you saw the response he got when he said what he said about a homemaker. It sounded like he got a standing ovation. So again, keep in context who he's talking to, right? So anyway, that's all I got. Y'all have a good day. Stay safe. Oop, wrong one.